Greetings, scholars. Welcome to Chapter 8 of the Marketing Strategy course, Mark 4701. Marketing Strategies for New Market Entries. It's going to be exciting. So hold on to your wigs and keys. Make sure you're tall enough for the ride. Before I start on Chapter 8, I want to go back and just review the balanced scorecard concept that we've talked about numerous times in the class. Kaplan and Norton are the two guys that came up with it, popularized it. It's just kind of a chart that I think explains it best, where you'll notice, of course, financial success are part of the scorecards at the top in the middle. Because you need to be actually successful in order to continue in business. But the balanced scorecard concept postures that that's not everything to run a successful business, right? You've got to provide some money and talent to growth and learning. You have to be spending some money out into the future. You got to pay attention to the customer, right, and how you look to the customer, and then internal processes. What do you have to be real good at? And then business strategy. So it's kind of on the simulation, your grade's going to be based on your balance scorecard. That's the reason that that's provided to you after you make decisions each quarter. It's really each session. But anyway, that's just kind of a visual picture that might help some people and might not. But anyway, for some reason my volume just went up. And I don't know why that is, but there we go. It's back up. So with that said, we'll move on to the more important concept. Everybody's familiar with this from Principles of Marketing and probably every other marketing course that you ever took. These authors add in a stage they call competitive turbulence or a shakeout stage. But the classic product life cycle is introductory, period, growth, maturity, and decline. So I'm not going to ask you any questions about competitive turbulence or shakeout stage, but this is their picture, so we'll use it. So if you remember that the product life cycle holds that product sales change over time in a predictable way, and that most products go through a series of 4 stages. They claim 5, we're going to go with 4. So the introductory period, where the new product's purchase is limited because a lot of people in the target market are unaware that they exist, or it might lack easy availability because it's new to the market. And you'll notice that the profit line is negative at this point, and that is because we've got a lot of sunk costs that have gone into it, the research and development, and it starts to get above the baseline there in the introductory stage, but just barely. And then you've got the growth stage. So as more people learn about the product and becomes more available, sales generally increase at a progressively faster rate. So you'll see that they really grow during that period in growth. And then the maturity stage is the next one, if we skip the competitive turbulence part that they like to add in there. Most products are in the maturity stage, right? If you think about Tide dishwashing liquid, it's been around a long time, right? It's not the introductory or growth period, it's in the maturity stage. And in that stage, that's when the net adoption rate holds pretty steady, or when adopters approximate dropout. So we're getting 1 for 1. And then the decline stage follows that, where adopters begin to exceed new first-time users, sales rate declines, and the product is said to have reached its final stage, right? So if we look at those as in writing, just a recap, product lacks easy ability, and then growth rate decreases. In the shakeout stage, we're going to just lump that in with maturity. And then product matures and then declines. So if that's the case, why is there still Tide detergent? Well, the trick for the firm and marketers is to extend that curve. This is one for the iPhone from the beginning, when they first issued the iPhone, and you'll see it goes through a growth period and a maturity and decline. So does that mean? But this chart tops out at the 3 and the 4S. So did iPhone just go out of business? Apple quit making them? No, in fact, they make more of them than they do computers. Because what the trick is to these life cycle extensions. When the iPhone comes up here and starts to decline, what did they do? The 5, the 6, the X, the 11. You see, that's how you do it. If it's Tide detergent, then they went from powder to liquid with stain blocker, to Tide Pods. So you extend the product life cycle for some just mature and decline and go out of business, right? Fidget spinners. Those are just they run way up in sales and then they just fall off the diving board, or a pet rock, let's say. So in the introductory stage, we might, when you're talking about pricing, we might engage in price skimming, which is designed to obtain a big margin per unit as possible. That helps you get back your new product investments quickly. That can only work if people are willing to pay that price. Oftentimes, people get into a market knowing that they can't sustain it when competition comes in because they're either not big enough, or maybe they don't want to, maybe they want to sell it and move on to something else. So they'll come in with skimming pricing, charging the highest price they can get, knowing they're going to be leaving. Or you could use penetration pricing, which is typically you're only going to do that when you have a large market to sell to, or you think you have a large market. And when you have a steep experience curve, everybody can't get into it right away. So they'll have to learn it. But anyway, so you can lower the price so that everybody has them, right? Some people use that. When I was in the lighting business, periodically some manufacturers use that because they know if they can get a bulb into a fixture, when the maintenance man goes into that fixture 3 years from now, they pull that light bulb out and it's a Philips light bulb, they're going to go buy a Philips replacement because they don't know that all of them make the same light bulb. So they get one exactly like that. And then promotion expenditures involving advertising and sales force are generally a very large percentage of sales, especially for a mass market product. Hopefully in the simulation, you have picked up on that early on, promotion is important. And you have to spend a lot of money on it to make sure that people know that it exists. So that's kind of a recap of the product life cycle and some pricing strategies you can use during that. It's a very helpful tool, but is it perfect? No. Because it has a normative approach. What's a normative approach? It means that it fails to take into account that the product life cycle is in reality affected by a bunch of things. Market forces, consumer preferences evolving and changing, technology always coming in that can make the product better or maybe cheaper to make, and competition. So it's a great way to look at products, but the length of the life cycle can change. It may take longer than the chart looks like in the introductory stage to remind people or introduce people to this product that you are bringing out. If it's new, truly new to the market. And it says kind of it's a presentation of what ought to be, kind of like in economics when they hold everything able to make decisions when nothing is stable, everything's always changing. But still, it's a useful tool. It's been used for a while and will continue to be. So we're talking about new products. How new is new? Well, there was a survey of new product development in 700 U.S. corporations conducted by a consulting firm, Booz Allen. And they identified 6 categories of new products based on their degree of newness as perceived by the company and the customers. So those 6 are new to the world products. These are true innovations that are brand new to the firm and create a brand new market. Now let's think of bicycles. Are they new to the world products, true innovations, create an entirely new market? Just think about that. New product lines. That's a category that's new for the company, but not new to customers because somebody else is already making those. Product line. That's not a new to the world product. Additions to existing product lines are new items that supplement a firm's established product line. So let's say you're in the bicycle business and then you get into the insulated water bottle business that fit in your bikes, but you can buy them. They could be standalone products. Those could be additions to your existing product lines, or maybe clothing or a lifestyle brand around your bicycles. Improvements in or revisions to existing products. Those are items providing improved performance or greater perceived value brought out to replace existing products. So, you make a bike and then you replace it. Cars do this all the time. They come out with another brand of car to replace one that they had because it's more improved. Repositioning, everyone should know what that is. That's when you take your existing products and target them to new applications or new segments of people that maybe never used your brand before. So if you, I always use Bayer aspirin as one that's been repositioned from a baby toothache aid to a heart attack prevention medicine for men 40 years of age and older. I guess maybe women too. I don't know that. I'm not a physician. And then they have cost reductions. So that's product modifications that do the same thing, but cost you less to put on. In this case, I'll stay with bicycles. All right. So what is a pioneer? Obviously, common sense tell you a pioneer is somebody who's first somewhere. So generally people think that successful pioneers, they take the greatest risks and they're greatly rewarded. However, a lot of pioneers fail because they are brand new into a market or into an area or a category. But they do have several competitive advantages. There's several competitive advantages over followers. They get the first choice of market segments because they're the first one in, and they can, hype the attributes of their brand. They write and define the rules of the game. Product quality, price, distribution, warranties, post-sale service. They set the mark for that. Everybody that follows them has to either meet that mark or say, well, we don't meet that mark, but we're almost as good. And that's tough. And you have high switching costs for early adopters, people who early on buy Pioneer's product and put it into use, say in their company. Then when somebody else comes out with a competitive item, I say, we have so much invested in this material inventory that it's just going to cost us, a lot of money. So those are just some. Now, some Pioneers fail. They just abandon it, or they go out of business, or they get acquired. Before the industry matures, they'll get acquired. Some people go into the market with the hopes of being acquired because they don't have the resources, to compete against the Walmarts of their category. So they come up with a great product, and when they start to get in the maturity stage, they just get bought. And some go in with that plan anyway, right up front. So what kind of programs do Pioneers engage in? Well, two that are listed here that I'm going to talk about are mass market penetration and niche penetration. Mass market penetration is most successful when entry to barriers inhibit or delay the appearance of competitors. Think about the airline industry. How hard is it for a group of us to start an airline? It's pretty tough. So if you have the money and you could do it, there aren't a lot of people that can get into the airline business. So we could be a first mover on that deal, even though there are airlines that we'd have to come up with an angle. Like just local examples, but think of Walmart as a mass marketer versus a niche penetration. So a lot of Pioneers might want to avoid the big boys. It'd be hard to have a skimming pricing strategy if you were competing against Walmart. So a niche penetration strategy, can help the smaller Pioneer get the biggest bang for their buck, and mostly avoid competition with the bigger players in the market, thus allowing them to, it doesn't mean you can't make any money. There are tons of niche products that people make a lot of money on. You don't have to be Walmart or Target to make a lot of money. I'll come back and just circle back to skimming again real quick, because a skimming pricing policy, sometimes it's a plan because a Pioneer comes into the market with the strategy of they're planning on getting out, either because they don't have the money to go full force with it, or they or go in just to get people's attention because they think a competitor will want to buy them. But they just don't plan on staying in there a long time. So they'll go in and try to get as much money back as they can, because they don't plan on being in the market 20 years and nibbling back a little bit at a time. So I just wanted to, I've said that already, but I just kind of wanted to hit on it one more time. So again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but again, internet and social media provides promotional tools that can reach specific segments at relatively low cost. This was not the case 2-3 decades ago. But for niche marketers, the internet and social media have made it more appealing for them to get into the market with a product that may not be bought by the masses, like salt or hammers Could be something more specialized. But they can pick a target segment, earnings or education or gender or a certain part of the company, or snowboards or boats, or they have a specialized good, then they can pick those, and social media will allow them to really target those items and be successful where they may have been harder to be successful years ago. For example, you could, again, focus on relatively upscale customers or require high price to increase margins and revenues. So anyway, those are the highlights for this portion of Chapter 8, which deals with marketing strategy for new market entries. All right, I will see you on the internet.